The G20 is a very important forum for all of us. We know that this is affecting majority of the global economy, trade, as well as investment.
With the humble and hospitality of Indonesia, welcome. We achieved some promising progress through multilateral, through G20.
At the end of 2021, we've paved the road to 2022's G20 presidency, promoting Recover Together, Recover Stronger as its main theme. The first Finance and Central Bank Deputies meeting in the Indonesian presidency has established 6 priority agendas in the finance track that will be discussed throughout 2022. Now, it's time to get the wheels turning. One of the most crucial agenda in the Indonesian presidency is exit strategy to support recovery. COVID-19 has led to a severe global recession. In response, countries have taken unprecedented fiscal and monetary policies to protect the economy. These policies, along with the distribution of COVID-19 vaccines, has brought positive outcomes. Economic activities had begun to resume. Nevertheless, recovery doesn't come as a one-size-fits-all item. Advanced economies are recovering much faster than their emerging markets counterpart, while low-income countries are lagging. The different timings of exit policies can potentially bring negative spillover effect for countries. To mitigate these risks, a well-planned, well-calibrated, and well-communicated exit strategy is needed. Under Indonesia's presidency, the G20 countries and invitees will work together to create policy settings for a smooth exit strategy. Discussions will be held in the working group level as well as high-level meetings. For it is our duty to ensure that emerging from this pandemic, no one gets left behind. Recover together, recover stronger.
Hari ini ada rencana kemana? Kamu masih aktif kerja di luar ya? Masa pandemi gini memang banyak sektor yang terkena dampaknya. Cuma beberapa sektor strategis aja yang boleh beroperasi, tentu dengan berbagai syarat yang harus dipenuhi. Ada sih yang beruntung masih bisa kerja dari rumah, tapi banyak juga yang tetap harus keluar untuk cari uang, kayak kamu. Kalau gitu harus didukung dengan stamina yang kuat dan protokol kesehatan yang ketat. Kamu udah bawa masker cadangan kan? Hand sanitizer juga jangan lupa. Jaga kebersihan dan rajin cuci tangan ya. Aku gak akan bosan ngingetin kamu soal ini. Jauhi kerumunan dan hindari kontak fisik dengan orang lain. Kalau ada keperluan transaksi sehari-hari, mending pakai cara pembayaran non-tunai aja.
An age where information is a click of a button away, where new digital platforms can appear at any moment, where technology is inevitable. As innovations are made in all aspects of life, the way we live and behave are also impacted. This includes how we make payments and transactions. Since the industry continues to evolve, it is important that policymakers keep up with the demand, needs, and trend in digital payment. The G20 recognizes the need to discuss recommendations and best practices regarding digital payment. In the Indonesian presidency, payment system in the digital era is one of 6 priority agendas to be addressed throughout the year. The emergence of non-sovereign money has proven to cause profound effects on macroeconomics, monetary policy, and financial system stability. This necessitates central banks to pursue a range of policy options, including to provide a digital form of central bank money. The use of central bank digital currency, or CBDC, will improve the payment system's efficiency by increasing competition in the domestic and global payment systems markets. Another trend in the world of digital payment is cross-border payment. As the world becomes more globalized, a standardized infrastructure is needed for cross-border trade, remittances, retail payment systems, and capital markets. Throughout its presidency, Indonesia will address both CBDC and cross-border payment to be discussed by the G20 members, invited countries, and relevant international organizations. Since keeping up with technology is inevitable, let's aim to be ahead the curve. Recover together, recover stronger.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. May peace be upon us. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Sarah Wayne, and it is an honor for me to be your master of ceremony for today's event. First of all, let us praise to the presence of God Almighty. Because of His blessings, for this very special moment, we can all meet together at Casual Talks Digital Payment Innovation of Fintech. Allow me to greet the Honorable Deputy Governor of Bank Indonesia, Bapak Doni Primanto Joewono, the Honorable Speakers, the Vice Chairman 3 of AFTECH, Bapak Harianto Gunawan, the Committee Chairman 2 of ASPI, Bapak Ardiaanz, the Deputy Head 3 of Kadin, Bapak Kaspar Situmorang, the SVP Digital Banking of Bank Mandiri, Bapak Sunartosi, and of course, of all of our respected audiences. And ladies and gentlemen, Indonesia has taken the helm of the G20 presidency in 2022. The central theme under Indonesia's G20 presidency is Recover Together, Recover Stronger. Under this theme, Indonesia's G20 presidency is committed to ensuring the G20 remains at the forefront of promoting global productivity, increasing resiliences and stability, providing sustainable and inclusive growth while supporting the enabling environment and multilateral partnership. In this context, Indonesia aims to steer G20 collective efforts to emerge from the pandemic and also shape the recovery momentum, ensuring no one is left behind, including in addressing the backbone of every economy, which is the payment system. Before we begin our casual talk this morning, ladies and gentlemen, we will first listen to leaders' insight on the role and impact of payment digitalization in achieving a truly inclusive development from the Deputy Governor of Bank Indonesia. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Bapak Doni Primanto Joewono.
Thank you, Sarah. Distinguished speaker and participant, Bu Pilianingsih, Assistant Governor Bank Indonesia, Bapak Harianto Gunawan, Vice Chairman of AFTECH, Bapak Ardiaanz, Committee Chair of ASPI, Bapak Kaspar Sitomorang, Deputy Head of Kadin, and Bapak Sunarto C, Senior Vice President of Digital Banking and Banking Mandiri. Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. First of all, let us extend our praise and gratitude to Allah, God Almighty, because only with His blessing, we all can attend the Digital Payment Innovation Seminar, which is being held as one of the side event of the Indonesian G20 Presidency 2022. And I also would like to appreciate the distinguished panelists and participants who are physically or virtually present, contributing their valuable time and experience in this important event. And also to all the participants who have joined us today, even though the event is done in hybrid form, I hope it will not limit us to have collaborative discussion with other and provide valuable enlightenment to all participants. Distinguished speaker, ladies and gentlemen, Indonesian G20 presidency theme for the 2022 Recover Together, Recover Stronger is extremely pertinent given the current global situation. Under this theme, Indonesia G20 presidency is committed to ensure that the G20 remain at the forefront of the promoting global productivity, increasing resilience and stability, providing sustainable and inclusive growth, while supporting the enabling environment and multilateral partnership. In this context, Indonesia aims to steer G20 collective effort to emerge from the COVID-19 pandemic and shape the recovery momentum, ensuring no one is left behind, including to address the backbone of every economy, the payment system. In digital era, payment system is the entrance for the formation of the new economic ecosystem, namely the digital economic and finance ecosystem. We have seen in the recent years the technological driven advancement in payment system that has led to a creation of the new business model, arrival of the new player, transformation of consumer behavior, as well as the economic and financial landscape. And then consumption has shifted from the offline to online shopping, increasing demand for faster, mobile, and more secure payment solution. The pattern of the industrial relation among agents has also become progressively modular and yielded a new business model. Moreover, jurisdictional boundaries are fading in the friction of the global digital platform, impairing national economic sovereignty as well. And then this distinguished speaker and ladies and gentlemen, the payment digitalization brought us a new opportunities, resolve physical infrastructure barriers and lower cost of transaction. As a result, financial services are more affordable and accessible, including to the unbanked population and MSME segment that are less familiar with finance and technology. Through digitalization, financial inclusion could also increase economic productivity and inclusiveness sustainable, particularly among MSME, including women and youth. In response to this fast-moving development, regulator need to remain vigilant of innovation and technological development challenges and risks. For the reason, Regulator need to maintain a balanced approach between encouraging innovation and mitigating a risk need. This is consistent with one of the 10 principles outlined in the G20 high-level principle on digital financial inclusion, which were launched in 2016 and include key actions such as encouraging regulatory and industry effort to balance innovation and risk in the area of the digital financial inclusion. The balanced approach is articulated by Bank Indonesia as the regulator of the Indonesian payment system in the form of the Indonesian Payment System Blueprint 2025, which is fully oriented toward building a healthy ecosystem as a guide for the development of digital economic and finance in Indonesia. Distinguished speaker, ladies and gentlemen, digital finance inclusion has emerged as a top priority for Indonesian G20 presidency in 2022. The overarching outcome of the presidency is to develop the financial inclusion framework and harnessing digitalization to increase productivity, sustainable and inclusive economy. This framework will be supported by several reports in the digital finance inclusion and SME finance area in line with the G20 Financial Inclusion Action Plan. To support the financial inclusion through the digitalization on payment system, Bank Indonesia has launched Quick Response Code Indonesian Standard. We call the QRIS in 2019. And then since the 2019, QRIS has evolved with the various features from the merchant presented mode, non-face-to-face, we call the TTM, customer presented mode, and also cross-border. One of the major initiatives to expand QRIS, currently QRIS services can be operated beyond the jurisdiction border. This initiative links cross-border payment through the interconnection of the national QRIS code between other countries. This represents another milestone of the BSPI 2025, and then Bank Indonesia recognizes the significance of cross-border payment system linkages and has continuously pursued such initiative. Cross-border QR is one of the collaborative initiatives to build standardization of settlement infrastructure for the cross-border trade, remittance, retail payment system, and capital market. Cross-border QR provide more options for users in the cross-border payment space and serve as a key to improve transaction efficiency, support the digitalization of the trade and investment, and maintain macroeconomic stability by promoting a more extensive use of local currency settlement or LCS framework. Now, Bank Indonesia, Bank Negara Malaysia, and Bank of Thailand have launched the piloting of the cross-border QR. With the cross-border QR, consumer and trader in both countries will be able to make and receive payment for the good and service through the QR code instantly. This collaboration also marked the achievement of an important milestone in the ASEAN Payment Connectivity Initiative, which aims to promote the financial integration in the ASEAN region. This initiative is also in line with the Financial Stability Board, the cross-border payment roadmap that was endorsed by G20 in 2020. The roadmap aims to achieve a faster, cheaper, more transparent, and more inclusive cross-border payment while ensuring the safety and security. I think the successful implementation of the roadmap would have the widespread benefit for the citizen and economic worldwide. And then the cross-border payment service, which can we hope that we can serve the provide the faster, cheaper, more transparent, and more inclusive services. Have the broad benefit for the people and economies around the world, supporting economic growth, international trade, global development, and financial inclusion. Last but not least, we believe that digitalization will be able to transform Indonesia into a high income developed country. Digital transformation in the finance sector carried out jointly by the regulator and industry will be able to answer the challenges in the new normal era and provide greater benefit for the all Indonesian people. We are optimistic that the synergy of the all parties will realize the Indonesian payment system 2025 vision, which is opening the access of 91.3 million unbanked population and 62.9 million MSME into the formal economic and finance is a sustainable manner. I think hopefully today's seminar generate the best idea and inspire the new activities in order to promote economic recovery and financial inclusion in order to recover together and recover stronger. May God Almighty bless and lighten our step toward a better future. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Bapak Doni Primanto Joewono, for the wonderful, insightful speech. And we kindly request you to please do stay with us on screen. For next, we will be having a photo session together. Therefore, I would like to invite onto the stage the Head of Payment System Policy of Department of Bank Indonesia, Ibu Filianingsi Hendarta, to please come on the stage to join for a photo virtual session together. And also the Deputy Head 3 of Kadin, Bapak Kaspar Situmorang, to please come onto the stage. And also the SVP of Digital Banking, Bank Mandiri, Bapak Sunartosi, to come onto the stage. And also our moderator for the casual talk, Ibu Kania Sutisnawinata, to also come onto the stage. And next, we would also like to invite on screen the Vice Chairman 3 of AFTECH, Bapak Harianto Gunawan, and also the Committee Chairman 2 of ASPI, Bapak Abraham Adrian, to please join us on screen to take a photo together. And ladies and gentlemen, we will be having 2 photo opportunity on the count of 3. So I hope you all are prepared for the first photo opportunity on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Another one. 1, 2, 3. Once again, with a QRIS sign. 1, 2, 3. And ladies and gentlemen, may I have a big round of applause. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, you may now return to your seats. And also, we would like to thank once again Bapak Doni Primanto Joewono for his wonderful, insightful speech on Leaders Insight. And ladies and gentlemen, the QR Code Indonesia standard, or QRIS, has been launched by Bank Indonesia to facilitate the digital payments through server-based electronic money applications, digital wallets, and also mobile banking. QRIS allows QR code facilitated payments to be interconnected and also interoperable through a single standardized code. And ladies and gentlemen, next we will show you a video that highlights the achievements of Bank Indonesia's QRIS initiative. And afterwards, we'll be having a Kahoot quiz based on the video that we will show in just a moment. Therefore, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please do enjoy the video.
Digitalization has brought about changes in all walks of life, including the way we transact and make payments. all providers innovate to offer integrated, interconnected, and interoperable services. In this case, the role of regulators is very important to ensure that payment systems run safely and efficiently for all users. Bank Indonesia also supports the integration of the economy and financial digitalization, particularly in the payment system, by implementing the Indonesian Standard Quick Response Code, or QRIS, since January 2020. QRIS is a QR code standard for payment in Indonesia that connects all payment system providers. QRIS can link to various banking and non-banking funds such as deposits, electronic money, debit cards, and credit cards. QRIS can be used through various payment and mobile banking applications, enabling people to make contactless and digital payments from various payment system providers. Merchants will instantly receive transaction notification and receive the funds in their account. With all the benefits, QRIS is used by more than 15 million merchants. From micro businesses to large enterprises, Bank Indonesia, Payment System Association, and Payment System Industries continuously develop QRIS features. QRIS Consumer Presented Mode, the QRIS Transfer, Withdrawal and Transfer, and QRIS Without Presence. QRIS Cross Border enables two interconnected countries to make payments using payment applications from their respective providers. This is possible through cooperation between central banks, associations, and payment system industries. Switching between the two countries enables the connectivity, and transaction settlements will utilize the Local Currency Settlement, or LCS, framework. QRIS Cross Border will make it easier for both countries, especially those with high trade and tourism activity. QRIS Digital Payment also supports financial inclusion. QRIS supports small or traditional merchants to adopt digital technology and enter into the financial system. With profile and recorded transactions, merchants will find it easier to apply financing. In the future, we will continue to push the users of QRIS massively, developing QRIS features, including expanding QR cross-border cooperation with other countries in the region.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, as promised before, we will be having our first Kahoot quiz of the day. Therefore, we'd like to invite you to join the quiz by scanning the QR code that is presented on your screen. And how to play the quiz is, remember, the questions will be based on the video that we have just watched together, and the fastest and the correct answer will be getting the highest points. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, please do scan the QR code that is available on your screen to join the quiz. We have amazing and interesting prizes waiting just for you. And remember, we'd also like to remind you and inform you how to play the quiz is to choose the correct answer from the following questions, which was based on the video we have just watched. And the fastest and the correct answer will be getting the highest points. Once again, the QR code presented on your screen is a link available to play the first Kahoot quiz of the day, where we will be giving out amazing and also interesting prizes. And the questions for the Kahoot quiz is based on the video that we have just watched. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, we invite you to join in to play the Kahoot quiz, where we'll be presenting several questions based on the video, and the fastest and correct answer will be getting the highest points. And we will be also announcing the winner right after the quiz. And now we will start the game. Countdown from the count of 3. 3, 2, 1. The first question is, what does Bank Indonesia do to support the digital economy, especially in the field of payment systems? Is it A, disbursing microfinance to SME? Or is it B, creating a new form of card payment? Or is it C, implementing the Indonesian Standard Quick Response Code, or QRIS? Or is it D, increasing the transaction limit on card payment? And the correct answer is C, implementing the Indonesian Standard Quick Response Code, or QRIS. And let's take a look at the current scoreboard, ladies and gentlemen. Harianto is leading with 979 points. Don't worry, we have a number of questions still. Number 2 is, which of the choices below is not the source of fund in using QRIS? Is it A, deposit, B, check, C, debit card, or is it D, credit card? And the correct answer is B, check. And we'll be taking a look at the scoreboard. And Harianto still leads with 1,961 points, followed by Arya with 1,892 points. And Sophia M in third with 1,877 points. The next question is, which of the choices below is not the recent development of QRIS features? Is it A, QRIS prepayment, or is it B, QRIS Cross Border payment, or is it C, QRIS deposit, withdrawal, and transfer, or is it D, QRIS for remote transactions? Remember to answer the question correctly and quickly to get the highest points, ladies and gentlemen. The first, and we can see here, the correct answer is QRIS free payment, or A from the multiple choice answer. And let's take a look at the scoreboard. We still have Harianto leading with 2,942 points, but we have 3H that has moved up second place with 2,816 points. Don't worry, there are still time. Ladies and gentlemen, the next question is, on what framework does QRIS Cross Border will utilize? Is it A, international currency settlement, or is it B, structured bilateral agreement, C, distributed ledger technology, or is it D, local currency settlement? And let's take a look at the correct answer. It's D, local currency settlement. And we'll be taking a look at the scoreboard once again. Let's see who is leading this time. It's still Harianto with 3,924 points. And it's still followed by 3H with 3,788 points, followed with Inisa with 3,764 points in third place. And next, the fifth question is, which of the choices below is the collaborating party in QRIS Cross Border? Is it A, central banks, or is it B, payment system associations, or is it C, payment system providers, or is it D, ladies and gentlemen? All answers are correct. And the correct answer is D. All answers are correct, ladies and gentlemen. And here are the winners. Harianto comes in first place with 4,905 points, followed by 3H and Inisa in third place. Congratulations to all the winners of our first Kahoot quiz of the day. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll move on to our next agenda, where Indonesia is without a doubt a home ground of various innovations in the payment system. The robustness of Indonesia's payment system has been a reference for other states to implement similar transformation in the payment sector. One of them is the breakthrough QR code Indonesian standard, or QRIS Cross Border, piloted in August 2021 between Indonesia and Thailand. The aim is to build a standardization of settlement infrastructure for cross-border trade, remittances, retail payment systems, and also capital market. In general, QR Cross Border allows both Indonesians to make payments abroad by simply scanning the QR code, as well as to ease payment needs of foreign tourists traveling to Indonesia. QR Cross Border's pilot launch allows consumers and merchants in both Indonesia and Thailand to be able to make and accept instant cross-border QR payments for goods and services. This connection is the first that links the retail payment system operators in both countries. QR Cross Border will be beneficial for both Indonesia as well as partnering countries engaging in cross-border transactions as effort to help economic recovery amidst the ongoing pandemic. The SMEs and also the tourism sector will be among the key sectors that will greatly benefit from this service. QR Cross Border marks a key milestone in the ASEAN Payment Connectivity Initiative, aiming to promote financial integration in the region. And ladies and gentlemen, this is among the innovation that Indonesia's G20 presidency can surely demonstrate and also help inspire other countries in accordance with some of the key points of the G20 finance track agendas, namely payment system in the digital era, sustainable finance, and digital financial inclusion, and also international taxation. And our next agenda, ladies and gentlemen, is casual talk on digital money and QRIS, key payment drivers to boost economic recovery and financial inclusion in Indonesia, empowering Indonesian SMEs and tourism sector with QR Cross Border. And we'd like to inform you that after the session, we will be having another Kahoot quiz with more interesting prizes waiting just for you. And the topic for our next Kahoot quiz will be related to the casual talk that we will be having in just a moment. So do please give it your best attention and stay tuned. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we will begin our casual talk, and please do join me in welcoming our moderator, Ibu Kania Sutisna Winata.
Hello, a very good morning to all of you distinguished guests, panelists, and participants, ladies and gentlemen, joining us here and also through our digital channel. Welcome. My name is Kania Sutisna Winata, and it's an honor for me to be your moderator for this following talk. As we all know, Indonesia has officially assumed presidency of the G20 since December 1st, 2021. And with this presidency, Indonesia aims to contribute more to the global economic recovery and develop a more prudent, a more just and sustainable world order based on freedom, lasting peace, and social justice. Hence the theme, Recover Together, Recover Stronger. Now, this morning, we want to dive deeper into some of the innovations that Indonesia has strived for these last few years amidst the pandemic. And we particularly want to highlight specifically breakthrough in the digital payment system, such as development of QRIS, Indonesia Standard Quick Response Code, and its latest initiative, the QR Cross Border, which was also mentioned earlier, marks a key milestone in the ASEAN Payment Connectivity Initiative aiming to promote financial integration in the region. Now, with these initiatives, Indonesia aims to encourage more major breakthroughs from G20 countries, while also fostering collaboration in the joint effort for a global economic recovery. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, to discuss more in detail on today's topic, casual talk on digital money and QRIS, key payment drivers to boost economic recovery and financial inclusion in Indonesia, specifically on empowering Indonesian SMEs and tourism sector with QR Cross Border. So let us welcome the following distinguished panelists to please join me on stage. First, I'd like to invite Kadin Deputy Head 3, Mr. Kaspar Situmorang. Please welcome. Hello, a very good morning to you. It's a pleasure to have you with us. So it's just a short background for us to get to know Mr. Situmorang better. He is the Deputy Head 3 in Kadin, which is the Indonesian Chamber of Commerce, where he heads the development of payment system and also digital bank. And he's also currently the CEO of Bank Raya, formerly known as BRI or BRI in Indonesian, Agroniaga from April 2021, and head of Neobank Department and AFTECH. Quite the track record there. And also prior to this role, he was the Executive Vice President, Digital Banking Development and Operation of Bank Rakyat Indonesia, or BRI, and also former Board of Commissioner Ling Aja. Again, welcome, sir, on the stage.
Happy to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you with us. And next to join me on stage, I'd also like to invite Bank Mandiri SVP Digital Banking, Mr. Sunarto C. Please welcome. Hello, good morning, Mr. C. It's a pleasure to have you with us. So he is a prominent leader and also respected expert in banking with more than 15 years of experience, and he's currently the head of digital banking product group in Bank Mandiri, the largest Indonesian bank by assets, where during his leadership has launched its super app, Live in Mandiri, which I have one right now, which is now also one of the top and most comprehensive retail banking solution app. He's also a member of the Board of Commissioner of Ling Aja, one of the nation's top and largest e-wallet solution provider. Welcome, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. And also, let us move on to online. There will be panelists who will be joining us online. And with this, I'd like to say hello to AFTECH Vice Chairman 3, Mr. Harianto Gunawan. Hello, good morning, Mr. Gunawan. Pleasure to have you with us. Just a short background for us to get to know you better. I mean, everyone knows you. You have more than 25 years of experience in banking, payment, and also fintech industry, where he has helped many domestic and multinational companies establish success and breakthrough. And now, as director of OVO, he's playing a key role in leading OVO as one of Indonesia's newest unicorn, and to be one of Indonesia's largest financial services in an open digital ecosystem. Mr. Gunawan, thank you for joining us. It's such a pleasure. And last but not least, also joining us online, ASPI Committee Chair 2, Mr. Abraham Ardiaanz. Hello, Mr. Ardiaanz. A very good morning to you. Hello, hello. Such a pleasure to have you with us. And also a short bio for Mr. Ardiaanz. He's the Committee Chair 2 of ASPI, which is an association covering the retail payment system in Indonesia since 2020 until this year. And he's also currently Director of Corporate Strategy and Development at PT Rintis Sejahtera, and is active as Chairman of the Asian Payment Network, or APM, from 2017 until 2019. Again, a pleasure to have you with us. So again, welcome, gentlemen. Such a pleasure to have you with us on this occasion. We have all the relevant players with us right now of the Indonesian payment system industry. We have the fintech players, we have the banking players, we also have the in-between players, the association covering all across the industry. I think this is going to be a very interesting discussion. We have about less than an hour, so let's start right away. And I'd like to start with Mr. Gunawan. Mr. Gunawan, tell us more. What role does the payment system financial technology, or popularly known as fintech, play in supporting the implementation of cross-border transactions right now? What has been the journey like for you?
Thank you. First, I just want to apologize not be able joining in person because I'm still recovering. And then it's an honor to be here today participating on this event. And thanks to Bank Indonesia for hosting an invitation. I think if we look at the payment system, I think everyone know that payment system is the backbone of any economy. And during the pandemic for the last 1.5 and 2 years, it has accelerated the payment digitalization. And that the fact not only in Indonesia, not only within the G20 members, but is around the world. I think this will accelerate economy recovery, especially from the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. And then if we just focus here in Jakarta, which is the economic epicentrum of Indonesia and the region, we have seen the significant growth in area of payment system, particularly for the cross-border transaction driven by the Central Bank of Bank Indonesia. If you look at it, the entire countries now, we are investing state-of-the-art payment system, which to build a platform or the payment system not just safe and secure, but also efficient, fast, affordable, and most importantly is the widely accepted. Fintech in payment space has room for innovation and technology, which provide a benefit in the implementing a cross-border transaction, fast, seamless, lower cost, and most important is can tap to all size of merchant and channel. It creates a vessel for robust financial inclusion that is making a financial service available, cross-border and affordable to public and small enterprises. And if we look at one of the significant achievement is with the help of the infrastructure provided by Bank Indonesia through the QR technology. I think we saw on the earlier sharing by Doni, which particularly on the QRIS. This actually helped the entire industry, which include the fintech player as well, to push on the payment digitalization. And we as the AFTECH and all the fintech players are taking a collaborative approach with the regulation and all stakeholders in most areas ranging from a strategy development, technology, innovation development, as well as the market readiness and socialization to the public. Last, AFTECH is fully committed to support the Bank Indonesia Payment System Blueprint 2025, which is one of the initiatives is to have a robust payment system and widely accepted for all merchants and consumers. Thank you.
Thank you for that. That's quite the aim, yeah, for a wide nation or nationwide adoption of the QR, which is the technology that has been supporting the development of a robust payment system in the country. So now let's we talk about taking the collaborative approach as mentioned by Mr. Harianto. I'd like to move on to Mr. Ardiaanz to answer this question. ASPI is the association designated by the central bank or BI to be the self-regulatory organization of payment systems. What kind of collaboration do you see with other associations, entities that ASPI promotes to strengthen the payment system and also in the process increase financial inclusion in the country? Mr. Ardiaanz.
First of all, thank you to Bank Indonesia for inviting ASPI for this important BIG20 side event. And to answer, your question, let me explain about the ASPI characteristic of membership. ASPI membership represent various banking industry association initially. And as the payment landscape becomes more diverse, the range of organization we bring together continue to expand. So currently we have more than 180 ASPI members, consists of bank, switching companies, remittance company, telco, and fintech. So naturally, ASPI is the melting pot of leading practice and experience of various payment service providers in Indonesia. Therefore, as a self-regulatory organization, collaboration and industry good governance are in our DNA. We listen to the voice of our member as the voice of industry, as well as their association, concern, and priority, such as Perbanas, AFTECH, and then remittance company, and other association. And as for any transformative initiative, somehow, somewhere, somebody has to invest significantly on the digital payment infrastructure and advanced security technology. So therefore, a sustainable business model are one of the key critical success factors. And ASPI as the strategic partner of Bank Indonesia, so we design a micro-technical policy and standard like QRIS, one of the example. And we would like also to make sure a sustainable business model. It is affordable for the customer, but also it enhances the sustainability of the payment system provider. And we advocate those framework for more effective, more efficient, and more resilient payment ecosystem existence. For example, QRIS is one of these concrete example of this collaborative effort between central bank and the key payment system association, such as ASPI, Perbanas, and AFTECH. We can say a collective national wisdom with a global quality standard. And it is also acknowledged by our neighboring country, I mean payment system from neighboring country. When we discuss about the QR code standard, national QR code standard, they are acknowledged by saying this is the way that they should do it. I mean, on developing the national QR code standard. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Let's move on to our panelists on stage joining me here. I'd like to go to Mr. Situmorang to explain. You want to take off your mask? Yeah, okay. Yeah, we're keeping our distance here. But again, Mr. Situmorang, I'd like for you to take us through what do you think our cross-border transactions can help economic recovery amidst the ongoing pandemic, especially for the MSMEs and also the tourism sector in Indonesia. Can you give us an example?
Right, thank you, Kania. First of all, I think we would like to say immense gratitude for Bank Indonesia for this huge event. And we would like also to say Happy Valentine to all the beautiful women in here, especially Bufilia and to you, Kania.
Thank you, thank you.
We need to start with love to boost our immune also today.
Agree.
Right? All right, so back to the business, I think. So representing...
It is a casual talk, eh? So.
Exactly, this is casual talk, right?
Yes, it is.
But business first. Right, back to the business, I think. So representing Kadin today, cross-border transactions obviously could boost our economic recovery amidst the ongoing pandemic, especially when the customer behavior has already been shifted. So these cross-border transactions, we believe, I think will not only boost the MSMEs transactions for the international trades, but also provides a tailwind for us in order to be able to, recover together on the tourism sectors. There are two things in here that we would like to emphasize. From Kadin's perspective, I think we would like to amplify these momentums through all our members in Kadin in order to be able to provide these more cheaper and also more reliable transactions across nations, especially in Southeast Asia, in order to be able to grow back the whole transactions that we've already got in 2019, for example, and to retrace back to the 2021 and 2022. We would like to amplify, I think, from that kind of a perspective. So the second of all, I think, the cross-border transactions will also boost our international trades, especially to our MSMEs and to the merchants in the tourism sectors, obviously, I think. So with QRIS, we believe, I think, all of these contactless and cashless will be able to be amplified. And at the end of the day, it's going to boost our economy and it gives back some of the profitability to those merchants that already been pushed back by the COVID-19 for the past few months and few years back. I think that is the immense effect of cross-border transactions, I think, that we could see for the next upcoming weeks ahead.
This is a start. Then you see, you're very optimistic this is going to help further the MSMEs and also in supporting the tourism sector, which we know during this pandemic is not really easy right now.
Obviously.
Okay. So let's go on to Mr. C, who's also present with me on stage. How does the implementation of cross-border QR fits with the overarching strategy of financial inclusion and recovery? And
this is also the question that is on everybody's mind. What is the incentive needed from the government to make this happen? Mr. C.
Okay, thank you very much. Happy day plus one Valentine for everyone. Okay, first of all, thank you very much for having Mandiri in this stage. I think it's an honor for us to be part of this great event. I think I look at the title in the side of this big screen. It's all about the financial track. And before I come to address your question, I think I just want to re-emphasize what I heard 30 minutes ago, which is a presentation from Pak Doni. I think if we downplay the role of the BI or association to QR cross-border payment only to address the financial inclusion, I think the topic is not, I think if we focus only on QR cross-border payment, it's so narrow. If you look at what has been presented by BI, 3 years ago, since 2019, we launched the QRIS. Last year, in the Independence Day, we launched the SNAP QR cross-border payment. And then the most shocking one is December 2021, which is BI Fast. Those are all the innovation, gold standard payment initiative that has been orchestrated by BI and also the association together with the players to improve the financial inclusion. So I am not trying to mention that one single QR cross-border payment can drive the financial inclusion, but it's all of the combined effort that drive the financial inclusion. And I come to address your questions about the financial inclusion. What do you mean by financial inclusions? I believe that those are very common terms for the bankers, for everyone who want to get into the financial sector. And it's always a challenge for everyone. Not only Indonesia, but I think bigger countries like China, India. The problem with the financial inclusion, I think like everyone knows before, how do we address the unbanked and underbanked sectors? Today, it remains a challenge. But why it still remains a challenge? Because I think as a player, in the past, I will emphasize again, in the past, the cost to serve that particular segment is quite expensive. But today, with all the infrastructure we have today, I think if you look at the number of smartphones we have today, I think it's larger than the population, okay? With all the products sitting on top of this infrastructure, I see one thing in common. If I can copy paste what Bu Phyllis keeps saying into us is, she has a very famous term called semua. Cepat, murah, aman, handal. This is, I think, in the previous speaker, they always said this is a cheaper method, efficient, affordable. This is what we want to provide into the financial inclusion sectors. I think now we have the right infrastructure, now we have the right product, and now is the momentum to regain, to increase the financial inclusion. Coming back to your second topic about the economic recovery, especially I think in the context of post-pandemic COVID, I think different countries in this region have different strategy, I think, but one of the things that we, if I'm following the news, is how do we make our tourism industry rebound quickly once the border is opened? I think yesterday, I think the Minister of Pak Luhut mentioned very good news to us. I think if you look at the cases in Jakarta, it starts declining. Hopefully it can follow by the other cities. In terms of the topic that we discussed today, I think about the QR cross-border payment, I think it goes without saying that once the border is open and then tourists is coming to, let's say, Bali, or we try to create another more Bali, I think in the long roadmap of the Minister of Pariwisata, that cross-border payment allow us not to bring any cash anymore, right? I think in the past, if you want to travel, probably the traditional method is go to the money changer, you bring out your cash, you do the exchange. There is a risk of holding the cash. And then we're shifting to the card payment, right? We are using card, which is facilitated by Visa Master Network. And now, if we look at the QR cross-border payment, we only need to have a phone with us. If I follow back to the presentation from Pak Doni, now I think the BI has established the cooperation with Thailand and Malaysia. Now you can imagine when we travel to Thailand and Malaysia, we simply can rely on our phone to make the payment. Of course, vice versa. for tourists to come into Indonesia or us traveling to Bali. So as an industry player, we also look at the economic value of this product. I think, though this is not a final estimation, but inside Mandiri, we estimate the cost of the transaction will be 30% cheaper compared to the card payment. So I think it goes without saying, with a robust product, cheaper product, of course that we can recover the economy quickly, especially when the border is open. Hope it addressed your questions. Thank you.
Thank you for that. What about the incentive needed from the government? You didn't answer that question.
I try to avoid this, this very sensitive,
what I asked.
Especially as a player in the industry. I think if you look at the other country, how do they encourage the tourism? Korea is very successful in their movie, in their drama, everything, but there are always a big player behind the scene. There is the incentive. As far as QR cross-border payment is concerned, I think as a buyer or as a merchant who involved in this payment process, probably they want to see some tax incentive.
Tax
right?
incentive. Right.
If you go to the other country, your neighbor country, after you going back to Indonesia, there is always a tax refund, right? For the merchant point of view, it depends on what is our goal. Are we stopped on the payment initiative, or are we want to go further? I think by give us some incentive of tax quote-unquote allowance, we can invite more people into the payment system.
Okay.
And from the industry perspective, now I have more data about everyone in the payment industry. In the past, how do you want to give loan to somebody that you do not know? Because they are outside the ecosystem.
Okay.
Now by invite them, of course the entry point is the payment system itself. By asking them to participate in the payment system, not only government has a view of the data, but also people outside the government like us, association, players, has better view about who you are, Ms. Kania. Better profile about you, better transaction profile about you. And then we can do some part about the lending side.
I don't know if I want you to know so much about me, but let's talk a little bit more. Is that so? So the tax incentive is of course, tax incentive is needed. I mean, in conclusion, I mean, all the players are upbeat about this, optimistic, and it needs collaboration. But at the end of the day, it also needs adoption. Adoption nationwide. So again, I'd like to go back to Mr. Gunawan to tackle this question. When we talk about adoption nationwide, what kind of support can especially the fintech players contribute in further synchronizing the payment system, especially in QRIS usage to the overall fintech realm? How wide is the adoption right now, Mr. Harianto, would you say?
Well, let me start with sharing a bit about AFTECH. We are the SRO, and today we are home for more than 360 members. And our members very much diversified, which we provide a wide range of business model in digital financial service, which then create a solid foundation, especially for the digital economy ecosystem in Indonesia. So when we hand in hand together with Bank Indonesia and as well as the other association or the non-government stakeholders, we try to cluster the business model, and if we just focus on the payment system clustered, which are the one that become a PIC for the QRIS rollout. That cluster, we call it the e-wallet cluster. So we have a dedicated PIC, we have a dedicated department to serve and to think about how we can synchronize to support the rollout of the direction from the central banks. And then our members have been very closely involved in conceptualizing the QRIS alongside with the central bank, as well as together with our close friend ASPI, Indonesia Payment System Association. And currently there are 25 fintech companies along within the 35 banks and 4 switching companies involving in this QRIS infrastructure ecosystem. And then to support and to ensure the smooth of implementation of the QRIS, Within AFTECH, we have 4 pillars in our work stream as an organization. Number 1 is a policy advocacy, community collaboration, literacy, and the last is the education. So through this pillar, we are working holistically to support the central bank payment system architecture, especially to support rollout of the QRIS. And then the last point, if you ask how many percent the adoption, I can say that all our members now already adopting the QRIS as the payment platform. Thanks.
Okay, so let's move on to Mr. Ardiaanz. From the perspective of the Indonesian payment system industry, what should be the focus, do you think, to help the adoption of QRIS nationwide or even globally? Is that possible?
Yeah, this is a $6 million question. Because I mean, the transformation of the payment system is always consists of 2 sides of the same coin: the supply of digital access and the demand for the services. So, based on our discussion with Bank Indonesia as the central bank, we really appreciate. I mean, just take the example of the QRIS development, and I fully agree. I mean, with the previous panelists. Opinion of we need to take a helicopter view of the digital payment transformation. Just to give the example or to give the illustration of the QRIS transaction growth during the 2 years, and during the prolonged global pandemic situation, QRIS transaction growth is probably one of the highest retail payment for the last 2 years. So our central bank target is a progressive target, and we are not there yet. But just to give you an example, QRIS transaction volume has increased 202% from 124 million in 2020 to 375 million in 2021. Looks, 202%.
That's quite a number.
Then, yes, and the QRIS transaction amount has increased 237% from 8.2 trillion to 27.6 trillion. So I think again, this is confirm the collaborative effort of the Indonesia payment stakeholders. And last but not least, the QRIS merchant growth is 156%. From 5.8 million in 2020 to close to 15 million in 2021, 14.8 million, if I'm not mistaken, to be precise. And much more than that, we are always asking ourselves, in the back of our mind when Bank Indonesia asking for discussion and collaborative effort, we are always asking, what is the end game? Mm-hmm. And we are grateful, Bu Fili, Pak Peri, Pak Doni, just we heard, always emphasize the financial inclusion.
Yeah.
And you know what, if I'm not mistaken, even the G20 starting the financial inclusion in 2009. So it almost 12 or 13 years. And we really need to see the concrete example. And based on the transaction volume and amount growth of the QRIS, based on our preliminary analysis, about 55% of those 375 million QRIS transactions, those transactions was happen in the micro and small medium enterprises.
Okay.
So that's really, how can we do it, right?
Yeah.
Because this is again during the prolonged global pandemic situation, and in this instance, I like to emphasize 2 factors. Basically, right from the start, we designed the QRIS standard with central bank and all all the players and all the association with the objective of implementing an interoperable and inclusive multi-acquire standard. So it should be interoperable.
Okay.
Because, for example, I mean, previously, if we have, let's say, 50 members, all of those 50 members have one QR standard, right? So we will have 50 QR standard. If we have 100, we will have 100 QR code standard. And you might be surprised. I mean, even the most developed countries, currently they have not yet had developed the national QR code standard.
Okay.
And while we are developing the QRIS, I mean, at that time, while we are benchmarking with the neighboring countries, the existing QR code standard at that time, they were only able to accommodate maximum 3 or 4 QR code acquire for one merchant. And through, I mean, in short, I mean, through our collaborative effort, largely due to the collaborative, innovative effort of industry and regulator, our QRIS don't have the limitation of the acquire.
Okay.
So we can have 10, 15, etc. So again, these collaborative are at least showing that we are speaking the same language on the financial inclusion.
Yeah.
And once we speak the same language, the entire system runs faster.
Okay. Okay, that's quite a statement, yeah. Mr. Situmorang, would you like to add on that? I mean, we want to highlight, you know, how is collaboration between government and also business in a successful implementation of a cross-border payment, or and also, you know, at the end of the day, what is the end game? Financial inclusion. So, what are your thoughts on this?
Right, I think at CAD...
How essential is it, do you think?
Well, obviously, it's immensely essential, right? The hyper collaborations between governments and players in the industries, especially to order and amplifying and accelerate the cross-border transactions. But let me give you a setback first. We have what we call ASEAN Economic Blueprint 2025. So one of them already been instilling that we need to standardize and improve the payment systems within the regions of ASEAN. And I think Bank Indonesia has already been doing very good jobs on amplifying that through Indonesian Payment Standard 2025, which has 5 payment system visions towards 2025. So, but yesterday, Pak Pandu and also Bu Sinta in this very events also already mentioned that we've got a couple gaps in order to be able to do so. So there's digital infrastructures gaps, there is digital capability gaps, and also last but not least is the cash society and the unbanked. So in order to be able to amplify...
The cash society or cashless society?
Cashless society.
Cashless.
Cash society. This is the 3 of the biggest gap, I think, we need to together of providing solution for that, I think, right? So Kadin is nothing but aligning between government's goals and also our members of businessmen across Indonesia, and need to be able to reunite and reorganize all of these goals in order to be able to amplify our economy, recover together. So from Kadin's perspective, I think the alignment between these goals, we would like to help, I think, from Kadin twofold. The first one is obviously how can we accelerate the penetrations of QRIS across Indonesia throughout our members of Kadins. We've got thousands of members across Indonesia. We would like to amplify also these penetrations of QRIS acceptance across Indonesia and help Bufilia to amplify from 13 million to 15 million of merchants acquisitions in 2022, right? And the second part, of course, we need to be able to win in the ASEAN regions, and we would like to help also the regulators here to get more acceptance, get more agreements with more countries to accept our QRIS standard across the region, of course. In order to be able to amplify this kind of adoptions, we need to, you know, in football they say best offense is good defense, but in a business they call it best defense is good offense. So we need to capture more countries in order to be able to adopt our QRIS standard as well. So that's exactly Kadin here is coming to help also that kind of ambitions of our governments in order to be able to penetrate these regions much better and much faster, I think, to accelerate the economic recovery together.
So when we talk about collaborations in the region, I mean, when we talk about the role of the Indonesian Chamber of Commerce, what kind of collaboration is existing right now in the region?
Right, I think from Kadin, as the Chamber of Commerce in Indonesia, we've already got multiple collaborations throughout nations in the regions and more international spectrums as well. So we've already heard from Sunarto earlier and also from Pak Doni earlier that Bank Indonesia already doing good jobs collaborating with Bank of Thailand and also Bank of Malaysia in order to be able to accept penetrations of our QRIS standard. So Kadin could also offer our services in order to be able to add more spectrums in Asian regions and more broader spectrums of new kind of agreement to adopt our QRIS standard adoptions more faster and more broader, I think, along the ways.
Okay, thank you for that. So let's move on to Mr. C. Mr. C, what do you think are the best practices? Can you share with us what are the insights on the best practices of collaboration between payment system providers with Fintech for cross-border transactions, perhaps?
Okay, I think it's easy and not easy questions.
Easy, not easy, okay.
Kanya, do you mind if I ask you one question? When was your last time you make a payment and then you pay using the QR payment?
The QR payment?
Yeah, using QR instead of card payment.
Oh, just last week?
Okay, last week.
Mm-hmm.
I think the typical...
No, this week, actually.
Okay, I think the typical conversation between the merchant and the payer is, okay, do you have, let's say, Link Aja, OVO, Dana, GoPay, Mandiri, BRI? This is probably the typical statement coming from the cashier when we want to make the payment through QR. I think in the QRIS, they don't need to ask, we don't need to answer. Just grab your phone and then scan. What I'm trying to say is the collaboration itself, the DNA of the collaboration itself has been embedded in the product design. Anybody want to doing the business in Indonesia and then want to accept the QR, then one basic requirement is you need to follow the QRIS. What I mean in the past, before we launched the QRIS in 2019, I believe, if you want to make a payment using a certain apps, we gather to make sure the merchant has to be acquired by the particular fintech or the bank. Now, overnight, if both of us, three of us on the stage has some capital and then build a fintech and then get the license from Bufili, overnight we can access to 14 million merchants. So what I'm trying to say is collaborations itself has been embedded into the design of the product.
Okay.
Which is now we encourage people, encourage more players to introduce your payment apps, let's widen the community so that everyone can accept the payments. Coming into the best practice, I don't think this is not a easy answer to...
That is an individualistic effort though, to get more people to join in.
Yes, yes. So okay. I think we cannot depend on only few big players. I think the more players coming into the ecosystem, you can make the market is more efficient, more competition.
But are you saying so the players just comes naturally in collaborating and using the QRIS? Is that what you're saying earlier with that statement?
I think we need to go beyond that discount thing, right? I think in the long term, we cannot rely on this pricing war in terms of payment. One thing is we need to make sure the QR payment becomes part of our life. Okay, different country, if you observe, has different strategy. Probably, I don't know, this is just a very wild idea coming from me, is do you want to set a certain amount of the transaction? Let's say below 100,000 rupiah, we force people to use the QR payment. Okay, because if you rely on the organic growth, I'm not saying we cannot go faster, but of course it takes some time. But with the force from BI, from the government, we can speed up a lot of things.
Okay, so the support of the central bank is essential and it's here, yeah, to support all the players. So So this is actually maybe some of the last few questions I would be asking to our panelists. So this is the same question to all of you. I mean, when we talk about managing expectations, expectations are perhaps different. It depends on your background, on your perspective on this issue, on how to adopt the QR code payment. And also, I'd like to focus also on cross-border transactions, because at the end of the day, this is an initiative that was an initiative that was with the sole purpose of recovering stronger, especially amidst this pandemic right now, and also to help the MSME and the tourism sector. But when we talk about managing expectations, I'd like to go back to Mr. Harianto. From your perspective, what do you think are the expectations right now? What kind of expectations do you have on the implementation of a cross-border payment? And especially also, we have to talk about financial inclusion. What is your definition of financial inclusion in this matter, Mr. Harianto?
Yeah, from AFTECH perspective, we do have a high expectation from this QRIS Cross Border, which we believe that it will become our solution for all challenges associated with the cross-border payment. I think we already heard from some of the speakers what are the current challenges, especially related to the cross-border payment. Like, for example, we do need speed, we need low-cost infrastructures, so those kind of challenges. And we hope that the QRIS Cross Border will become our booster, especially for Indonesia tourism sectors. If we look at it now, our government start opening up our tourism destination, be it for domestic as well as for the international travelers. I think this is also happening to the rest of the world, where they start opening up after the pandemic session. Ultimately, this is also will have a significant impact to our tourism sectors, as plus our Indonesia MSME, the small medium enterprise, which in the past probably still rely on cash payment, and it can further accelerate the recovery of the pandemic impact. And then we also hope that after this pandemic subsides, the interop and the interconnectivity of the QRIS with the other countries using the QR payment platform, this will encourage tourism sectors, will boost tourism sector not only in Indonesia, also to the region. Tourists will not need to bring cash for their trip everywhere they go. They can just simply scan QR for pay all logistic, foods, souvenirs, as well as anything that, including cash withdrawal or current or probably doing a small transport transaction, buying food at the street hawkers, those kind of things. So we really want to provide a simple kind of the experience, especially for the tourism sectors.
Which in turn is going to support the industry as well moving forward, yes, Mr. Gunawan?
Yes, for sure, that's for sure, because all the, let's say for example, if we go to Yogyakarta, for example, we can see a lot of handicraft kind of small SME. If we start opening up for digital payment, that for certainly will boost their sales, plus also can help them to get into the financial system, official financial system. I think Pak Sunarto mentioned earlier that if you already have the kind of attraction within the financial system, it's easy for you to really enjoy the other type of financial product, like for example, loan.
Okay. So when we talk, I mean, just last one question. I want to piggyback on some of the discussion that was just discussed here on stage on how individual efforts of players right now, especially the fintech players, in reaching out more adoption, more merchants to join in. what are some of the support what are the contribution that have you made so far in making that happen? Especially when we talk about the MSME, how easy, when we talk about easy, how easy is it for them to adopt this technology?
I think when we created this QR platform together with the central banks, we really look into what is the challenge now from all different level of merchants. So let's say, for example, if we just look at the MSME segment, in the past, probably they don't have the luxury to apply for the EDC machine from the bank to process a payment, because EDC machine, we know that it's very costly for the banks, which limit those kind of merchant segment or merchant level to start accepting for the digital payment. At the end, they still continue taking cash as their payment option. But now with the QR, which we are using the mobile handset as our platform. Look, mobile population, we know that is even larger than our population. Yeah. Almost everyone, every corner within the nation holding a mobile phone, mobile handset. So that's create a kind of entry point for those MSME or for those merchant level to start moving to the digital payment.
Yeah. Okay, so the entry point is actually the wide adoption of a mobile, yeah, which is like double of everyone in every corner right now, yeah, the amount. Let's go to Mr. Ardiaanz. So the same question, what are your expectations on this? How do you expect cross-border QR in further promoting financial inclusion in the future, Mr. Ardiaanz?
Yeah, I mean, this is very important because we are talking about the effective execution of the payment system blueprint. So I think today with pandemic and the social changes induced by the health protocol requirement and technology innovation, actually the cross-border QR code transaction, we feel something will happen. I mean, but we don't know what. Okay. Because I mean, it's still moving, right? Yeah. So we see this cross-border QRC collaboration is a central bank forward-looking and prudent approach beyond global pandemic, and prudent approach to advance a new digital payment interface in a progressive way, as well as to create value proposition to tourism sector recovery and SMEs. And back to my initial comment, I mean, we see the supply of the digital access in a more efficient way, but at the same time, how we create the demand for the services product from the MSMEs. Yeah. And I think this is where the CADIN will play a significant role on building the quality of the services or product of our MSME, right? Because once we effectively manage and develop the business model, acceptable risk and speed execution, then this three factors would stimulate and open the demand for digital payment service and the MSME services and product. I mean, start from the C2C, customer to customer, B2C, and even B2B for various needs. Okay. And by anticipating this development, we believe, I mean, through our, again, strong collaborative effort between the central bank and the industry, I think we can make it happen. And lastly, I mean, you are asking about what is the incentive, right, from the government? Yeah. I mean, just to give the benchmark.
You wanted to answer that question as well, right? The incentive needed. Go ahead. Just
to give the illustration, I mean, when we are doing the benchmarking, I mean, like the Thailand, they are providing the tax refund on a monthly basis for the digital payment transaction. And South Korea also doing the same thing. And India, I mean, the government also reimburse the the digital payment transaction for social purposes. And lastly, again, I mean, because the transformation, again, needs the investment, and the reasonable price is the cost of those transformations. We can't avoid that. So we need to sit together, and we need the certainty of the regulation. And I mean, we are doing it right now with the Central Bank of Indonesia.
Mr. Ardiaanz, just one last question. When we talk about cross-border, Indonesia has made the first move with this QR Cross Border. Is there an advantage in doing that, Mr. Ardiaanz, do you think?
To be frank with you, I mean, even right now, I mean, we have already had several options to do the cross-border, right? By credit card, debit card, or basically card-based payment transaction. But through the QR code cross-border, I mean, it will really enhance the effectiveness and the efficiency of the implementation. Just for example, I mean, we have done, I mean, Indonesia has done the cross-border card-based payment transaction with Malaysia, Thailand, and took almost 3 or 4 years to complete that cross-border standard and preparation of the network and others. But for the QR code, I mean, cross-border, it only takes 6 months. I mean, when we are doing piloting with Indonesia and Thailand. And I mean, we do believe, I mean, we will make it even faster for another upcoming countries, right? Because we have the experience, we have the collaboration and understanding, because sometimes the technical is not the issue, but the regulatory harmonization will become very critical. So sooner or later, I mean, with the global recovery, we have to anticipate and be prepared for the cross-border transaction.
Okay, so we're on the right track. Mr. Situmorang, I mean, it's the same question basically. What are your expectations out of this? You know, do you think that the pandemic in some ways has helped, you know, spur digital innovations, you know, what we're seeing right now, the QR cross-border, and what can we expect going forward? How can Indonesia gain from this?
Right, so echo with what Ardiaanz and Harianto mentioned earlier, I think, right? So imagine Indonesia right now, Kania, still have about 90 million unbanked populations, right? And we already sit in the G20 board. Imagine if we got 100% financial inclusions, meaning zero populations of unbanked anymore. Can you imagine we will be in group 5, right? G5. And it boosts a lot of productivity, I think. That's why I think Kadin feels that we need to help also participate in this kind of a financial inclusion. That's why Kadin this year established the digital finance divisions, which chaired by Bapandu. And yesterday he already mentioned that I think in order to be able to amplify these financial inclusions, one of them through cross-border transactions, through QRIS, of course, not only through B2C, B2B, but also, this is the key, I think, in the digital era, the B2B2C through open banking, which already been in the BSPI 2025, already mentioned as well. So through open API, through API integrations with a lot of participants, this will not only amplify, but also boost the clarity in transactions. But I think the key to this participations absolutely is about consistency, I think. Consistency in managing the regulatory that we've already established, managing the common definitions or common features that we already agree, and last but not least, I think the consistency of the service level, I think. Because
as was mentioned earlier,
exactly,
you have a role in that.
Absolutely. So that's why I think this is nothing but hyper collaborations between all stakeholders, and of course chaired by the central banks. And it's already been a great journey, I think.
But I mean, when we talk about hyper collaboration, let's talk about B2B. Like, how willing are the business players right now to share secrets in between each other, or business models sustainably moving forward?
That's a good question. So that's why in Indonesian Payment Standard 2025 by central banks, one of them is open banking. So central bank already figured it out that in 2021 and onwards, there's nothing but collaborations. So
Okay.
we need to standardize that kind of
So,
collaboration.
so banks are collaborating with fintech players.
With anybody.
Okay.
So we standardize the way we communicate with each others. Like for example, the way we communicate in English, right? But business-to-business collaborations is communicate through what we call API.
Yeah.
Bukan Asosiasi Pelawak Indonesia.
Oh, bukan ya.
Tapi API is Application Programming Interface.
Yeah.
So this is how one institution connect with another institutions, transferring data and so on and so forth
Yeah.
with a certain kind of standard security. So data privacy, security, cybersecurity, all those kinds already been governed by Indonesian Payment Standard 2025 blueprints. So this is the way we are going to, I think, capture those productivity and boost Indonesia to G5, I think,
Right.
in the next 10 to 15 years ahead, I think, because there's nothing else.
Yes, and we pray for that. Amen to that.
Absolutely.
Uh-huh.
I think that's the key, I think. The consistency in order to be able to monitor, evaluate, and execute those kind of a regularity that we already designed
Yeah.
and amplified it through many associations that participates together to amplify these cross-border transactions.
Okay, so Mr. C, just the same question. We need to be ready. We are ready right now. We are making the first move. Will there be any surprises, do you think? I mean, we are nearing the end of the pandemic. We don't know yet, but I mean, will there be any surprises, do you think? How can we manage the expectation? What is your expectation?
Okay, so I think as a player in the industry, like I think the same thing to all of us that attending this event today. We always think how to make it happen. When we are talking about financial inclusion, we need A, B, C, D, E, and D, let's say. I think like what I explained before in the early of the conversation today, I think some of the secret sources for a success implementation have been there. We have a robust product. We have a very competitive pricing. We have infrastructure that support all this payment system. And one of the drivers that we never expect is the pandemic itself,
Yeah.
which speed up the whole process of the digitalization.
So, okay.
Yeah. So what else? Let us think. I think like all of us are in the business, we cannot wait until everything is settled and then we make a first move.
Yeah.
Of course, we need to start our first move from what we have today. I think today, if I mention 3 things in advance, like I mentioned before, I think it already formed a very sound capital for us to move forward. Okay. Speaking about the cross-border payment, now we work with Thailand, now we work on Malaysia. Probably, I think the next initiative is we want to expand to more countries.
Yeah.
So it brings us a more value proposition to our customer. So beyond Thailand, beyond Malaysia, Singapore, outside the region, for all the top destination country, and also for incoming too. So I think we need to quickly expand to the other countries. And the last but not least, if you have a good product, good pricing, the last one that left to do is you need to have a mass campaign.
You need to, excuse me?
Have a mass campaign to make sure that everyone know that we have such a good product, right? From right incentive, right product, right infrastructure, I think we need to start and then do it together and collaborate together. So, I don't know. So
do we have an even playing field, do you think, right now?
Yes,
like
of course.
domestically and globally?
Of course, because I think the pricing is very competitive in our view. Like what I mentioned before, compared to the card payment, it's 30% cheaper. So I think there's no reason for the tourists or for anyone not to use this product. I mean, this is a very interesting question. I think if we are talking about the strategy, everyone is asking, what is changing in the market? What is the dynamic in the market? And then how do you react to this?
Yeah.
What people do not ask is, what is not changing over time?
What is not changing?
What is not changing over time?
Okay.
There is the cemua. How do you reject something that is cepat, murah, and aman?
Cemua, yeah?
Yeah, cemua.
Okay.
I mean,
Let's popularize that.
Those are very common sense. If you have the product, it's become the dreams of every product manager.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So I think if you're talking about the level of playing field, I think we have been there. I think now is how do we expand to the other countries and then make a good campaign so that everyone knows about what we are doing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, and this talk show is that platform, yeah, to let everybody know what Indonesia is doing right now and how Indonesia is progressing amidst this pandemic. So maybe this is like our last round of questions, yeah. I'd like to go back to Pak Gunawan to like give his last remark. I mean, perhaps you can touch on, how not to leave anyone behind. I mean, that's the essence of a financial inclusion, and we are still striving for that in Indonesia. I mean, we are an archipelagic country of almost 300 million people. It's quite the challenge. Mr. Gunawan, what are your thoughts? This is your last remark before we have to close this session.
I think my comment on this is about collaborative approach, where we have to work together with all the related stakeholders.
Yeah.
Stakeholders in this case is not only on the regulator, but also the players. Because if you look at it, Indonesia, you mentioned in terms of archipelago, we just focus on the payment system or the financial service, for example. We have a lot of banks. Banks can be a national bank, can be also a provincial bank, where they have their own strength within that own kind of geography. Plus the same thing also for the fintech companies, be it as the e-money and peer-to-peer lending, for example. Yeah. So we have a lot of players spread nationwide. I think that the strength of for our execution. But if we fail to get everyone to work together, I think that will become a challenge. So to me, the last remark, let's work cooperatively together across all kind of a segment, across all different kind of stakeholders. I think that's the key to success for this.
Okay. Is it relatively easier, do you think, for fintech players right now to get that collaboration? How do you get that hyper collaboration that was mentioned earlier, do you think, Mr. Gunawan?
That will not be, if I say easy, probably I'm just take it for granted. The thing is, we need a full commitment from everyone. Luckily that for the last 6 months to 1 year, where we work together to implement the QRIS, I think that's the experience that we felt, where everyone really working together towards supporting the Bank Indonesia initiative. I think, again, the leaders still have to be rely on our regulator, in this case, Bank Indonesia, which can become our kind of parents to make sure that everyone talking the same language, they have the same standard, and they know that this is not a competitive kind of space, but it's more on the collaborative space. Because Indonesia, I think one of the speakers mentioned that if you just look at Indonesia, especially for the unbanked or underbanked population, it's still huge, meaning that we are not competing each other, but there's a big kind of a chunk of segment that we need to work together to meet those segments, to serve those segments, so that they can be digitalized, they can be on board to the official financial ecosystem.
Okay, a lot of potential there. Mr. Ardiaanz, last remark. How do we support further the SMEs and also in closing the gap in reaching the unbanked, the underbanked with this cross-border QR that has been unveiled as one of the initiative that Indonesia has started already, Mr. Ardiaanz?
Yeah, firstly, we need to realize that we have the strength and the foundation to move forward with the financial inclusion in the real term. For example, not only for the QR code standard, but previously, Indonesia also get the acknowledgement from the neighboring country and also the international countries about how we develop our standard, how we move forward with the execution and the industry good governance that we are established with our central bank. So again, we have the collective national wisdom with global quality. That's for sure. And the second thing is we need to address the financial inclusion. Also through the cross border, in a holistic approach. I mean, we have a good foundation, but also we have the real challenge.
Yeah.
So with this, I would like to emphasize again the two sides of the same coin. I mean, the supply of the digital payment access, and also stimulating and improving the demand for the MSME services product. So please don't be too narrow on envisioning a platform or a product, but if we see the whole picture within the total payment system blueprint, then we can have the effective execution. Because again, I mean, we have the skills, we have the experience. It's a matter of real collaborative effort to move forward.
Very well. Thank you for that, Mr. Ardiaanz. And on to you, Mr. Situmorang. Last remark.
I have a wise man saying, they call it, everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. So in order to be able to amplify this great initiative by central banks, I think we need to unlock the collective genius of many ecosystems across Indonesia, unlock collective genius across associations, business associations across Indonesia, unlock the collective genius of all players across Indonesia, right? In order to be able to accelerate this great initiative, there's nothing else. And Kadin is more than ready to help central bank to amplify these cross-border transactions, this financial inclusion especially, because there's nothing else we can do but to grow more and recover together, I think. Back to you.
Okay, very well. And Mr. C, last remark.
I think I just want to go back to the theme of this G20, which is recover together and recover stronger, and no one is left behind. I think all the speakers in the concluding remark, we are all mentioning about the importance of collaboration. And when we are talking about the collaboration, I think it means what? It means if involving many parties, I think the art of a successful implementation is we need to keep aligning our interests in order to promote the sustainability of the business. Otherwise, we launch a system product without looking at the long-term vision, and then it will be a challenge. So I think collaboration is, if I as a player translate the collaboration, is we need to keep aligning our interests to make sure that everyone interests are accommodated, and this requires an open conversation with anyone.
Okay, that's a really good point. Thank you very much for that. Maybe a big round of applause for our panelists. Wonderful. I think that was a really interesting discussion. In conclusion, I mean, I'd like to say this, despite the pandemic, I think these are exciting times to look forward to. Digitalization has been proven as a tool to be the most effective tools against the pressure of COVID-19, and perhaps assume an important role in reshaping the global economy, particularly as we have seen in the financial sector. We have seen what innovations and also collaboration can do to the payment systems in Indonesia, the sort of transformation we are seeing with many advantages, especially to support the SMEs and also the tourism sector, while also tackling financial inclusion in an archipelagic country of almost 300 million people. Imagine that. So that's what innovation and collaboration can do. And so with that, I'd like to close off today's talk. Again, a big round of applause for our distinguished panelists, and thank you for sharing your insights, and also thank you for the discussion. That was really wonderful. And we hope that, again, this discussion has been enlightening for all of you. We hope you're keeping safe and healthy. Thank you again for joining. I'm Kanya Sutisnawinata, and I'm handing back the session over to Sarah.
Thank you, Ibu Kania Sutisnawinata, for moderating our casual talk. And thank you as well to our distinguished speakers, the Vice Chairman 3 of AFTECH, Bapak Harianto Gunawan, the Committee Chairman 2 of ASPI, Bapak Abraham Adrian, the Deputy Head 3 of Kadin, Bapak Kaspar Situmorang, and also the SVP of Digital Banking, Bank Mandiri, Bapak Sunartosi. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, may I have a big round of applause for our speakers and also our moderator for the casual talk. And ladies and gentlemen, as I have informed you before the casual talk, it is now time for our second Kahoot quiz of the day. And therefore, I would like to invite you to please join in by scanning the QR code that will be provided on your screen, ladies and gentlemen. And once again, the questions for the Kahoot quiz will be based on the casual talk that we just had, which was moderated by Ibu Kania Sutisnawinata. Once again, the QR code is available on the screen, and we have amazing and interesting prizes waiting just for you. Once again, we invite you, please do scan the QR code available on the screen to join our second Kahoot quiz of the day. And remember, to be able to get the highest points, you have to be able to answer the questions quickly and also correctly. For those who answer the questions quickly and correctly, will be able to get the highest points. There will be 10 questions for our second Kahoot quiz, ladies and gentlemen, and we would like to also remind you that the questions are based on the casual talk that we just had. And we can see here, we already have more than 130 participants joining in the Kahoot quiz. We are still waiting, and we still have some time for those of you who would like to join. Please do by scanning the QR code that is available on your screen. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, we have interesting prizes just for you. Therefore, please do join us for our Kahoot quiz. And remember to be ready and to prepare yourselves to answer the questions, and we will be starting the Kahoot quiz. Countdown from 3, 2, 1. The first question is, what does Bank Indonesia do to support the digital economy, especially in the field of payment systems? Is it A, disbursing microfinance to SME? Or is it B, creating a new form of card payment? Or is it C, implementing the Indonesian Standard Quick Response Code, or QRIS? Or is it D, increasing the transaction limit on card payment? And the correct answer is implementing the Indonesian Standard Quick Response Code, or QRIS, ladies and gentlemen. And let's see the scoreboard for our first question. And ladies and gentlemen, it appears that we will be restarting the Kahoot quiz. Therefore, for those of you, it means you're in luck if you have not joined in yet. So we'll start once again. It appears we'll be having another or a different Kahoot quiz, so prepare yourselves once again. We'll prepare the QR code for you to scan to join our Kahoot quiz, our second Kahoot quiz. Ladies and gentlemen, this means we have a second chance and able to win the amazing and interesting prizes that is ready just for you. And I would like to also inform you that the second Kahoot quiz that we will be having in just a moment, the questions will be based on the casual talk that we just had. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, please do prepare yourselves, because the one who will be answering the questions quickly and correctly will get the highest points. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the QR code available on your screen. Please do scan the QR code, and we will have the Kahoot quiz briefly in just a moment. And remember to answer the questions quickly and correctly. And the Kahoot quiz participants, we can see here, it is more than 100 participants, and we are still waiting for more participants, and we are giving you the chance to scan the QR code once again. Remember, we have interesting prizes just for you if you win the second Kahoot. And in order to win, we'd like to also remind you to prepare yourselves, because there will be 10 questions, and you have to answer the questions quickly and correctly, because those of you who answer the questions quickly and correctly will be getting the highest points. And we'll start the Kahoot quiz, ladies and gentlemen, on the countdown. On 3, 2, 1. We'll start once again. What is QRIS stands for? The first question is, what does QRIS stands for, ladies and gentlemen? Here we go. With the technical glitch, what does QRIS stands for? Is it A, B, C, or D, ladies and gentlemen? It's C, Quick Response Code Indonesia Standard. And we hope, ladies and gentlemen, that the audience can be able to answer the first question correctly and also quickly and able to get the highest points. And we can see the scoreboard here. The highest points is Freddy F with 1,000 points, followed by Nugraha ES with 991 points, and Nurfitri Z with 980 points. The second question is, where is the G20 summit being held in 2022? Is it A, Danau Toba? Is it B, Mandalika? C, Yogyakarta? Or is it D, in Bali? Once again, remember to answer it quickly in order to get a higher point. I will be taking a look at the correct answer is D, Bali, ladies and gentlemen. And we'll be inviting you to see once again the scoreboard. The current scoreboard we can see here. Oh, we have a new first place, which is Nugraha ES after the second question with 1,964 points, leading the scoreboard. But don't worry, we still have more questions coming up. The third question is, what is the theme of Indonesia's G20 presidency? Is it A, recover together, recover stronger? Is it B, recover stronger, recover together? Is it C, recover stronger and together? Or is it D, recover together and stronger? And the correct answer is A, recover together, recover stronger, ladies and gentlemen. And let's take a look at the current scoreboard. Nugraha ES is still leading with 200 and 947 points. Question number 4, what is the official website of the G20? Is it A, g20.org? Is it B, g20.co.id? Or is it C, g21.co.id? Or is it D, g21.org? Once again, let's see. The correct answer is A, g20.org. And next we can see Nugraha ES is still leading with 3,932 points, but we see here Nurfitri has gone up the ladder to the third place with 3,925 points. The fifth question is, what is the meaning of cow motif in the G20's logo? Is it A, a more inclusive and sustainable global economic recovery? Is it B, is Indonesia's identity as a maritime country? Or is it C, spirit of improvement and service? Or D, recovery spirit that is green, inclusive, and also sustainable? The correct answer is C, the spirit of improvement and also service to others. And Nugraha ES is still leading with 4,914 points, followed by Chandra Aji. And we can see here Anna PA has also moved up with 4,907 points, coming in third place. The sixth question, who was the speaker of the Leaders Insight on the first session today? Is it A, Mr. Periwarjio? Is it B, Mr. Dodi Budi Waluyo? Or is it C, Mr. Doni Primanto Joewono? Or is it D, Mr. Judah Agung? The answer is C, Mr. Doni Primanto Joewono. And we can see here scoreboard. Oh, we have a new leader leading the scores, 3H with 5,900 points, and also Elfie with 5,898 points. Let's take a look for our seventh question. What priority issue has not been discussed at this year's G20 meeting? Is it A, education aid and funding? Or is it B, global health architecture? Is it C, digital transformation? Or is it D, sustainable energy transition? Remember to answer it quickly, ladies and gentlemen. And the correct answer for the 7th question is A, education aid and funding. We'll take a look once again at the scoreboard. Chandra IG is now leading with 6,883 points, followed by Sri H and also Anna PA. Don't worry, there's still time. And we will move on to the 8th question. How many countries are the member of the G20? Is it A, 20? Is it B, 19? Is it C, 18? Or is it D, 17? Remember, ladies and gentlemen, you still have the opportunity to win the interesting prizes. And let's take a look at this correct answer. The correct answer is A. There are 20 member countries of the G20, ladies and gentlemen. And now let's take a look at the scoreboard. Sri H has moved up the scoreboard with 7,867 points, followed by Nugraha ES with 7,862 points. And we have Chandra IG coming in third with 7,854 points. The 9th question is, what year was the G20 formed? Is it A, 1997? Or is it B, 1998? Is it C, 1999? Or is it D, 2000? And the correct answer is C, 1999, ladies and gentlemen. We can see here for our current scoreboard, Sri H is leading with 8,867 points, followed by Nugraha ES coming in second, and also Anna PA coming in third. And this is the last question, ladies and gentlemen. Where was the 2021's G20 meeting held? Was it A, in Italy? Is it B, Saudi Arabia? Or is it C, Japan? Or is it D, in Germany? And the correct answer is A, it's Italy, ladies and gentlemen. And now let's take a look for the winners of our second Kahoot quiz of the day. Here it is. The winners are Sri H coming in first place with 9,849 points, followed by Nugraha ES in second place with 9,827 points, and also Anna PA coming in third with 9,815 points. Once again, congratulations to all the winners. May I have another round of applause for all of our winners, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations. And ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of today's event. On behalf of the committee, I, Sarah Wayne, would like to thank you for your active participation, and we apologize for all the shortcomings. Please do stay healthy and stay safe. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, dan sampai jumpa.